And it matters for a lot of different reasons. As I'm sure all of you can imagine, there's a lot of pressure on Colorado's natural places. So the population that we have that's growing year over year and is getting out to recreate, increased tourism, these things coupled with, especially at the federal level of government, increasingly diminished funding for outdoor stewardship projects like trail work or ecological restoration. Some of those issues being exacerbated by natural disasters like all the fires that we saw come roll through last summer. In addition to, lately one of the major issues is with the pandemic driving so many more people, especially in the populated areas of the state, to go out and recreate. Just some fun pictures here showing what it looks like. I'm sure many of you have seen this at any given trailhead around Colorado, what it can look like out there. And so, all these factors take a toll on natural resources, be they recreational, be they some sort of other natural resource in Colorado. And so every year we say, and every year it's true, more and more volunteers are needed to help pitch in and get this work done. And so, that's 39,000 miles of trails in this state, 43 state parks, 12 national parks and monuments, 13 national forests and grasslands, 54 14ers, and thousands of acres of city and county open space parks. In Colorado, we're blessed with a large amount of natural resources and public lands that we can access, but that does mean that we have, I think, a heightened responsibility to pitch in and take care of those lands so that we can all continue to enjoy them and benefit from them. So the way that folks can get involved and help, there are many. We do nearly 60 projects in this year, over 60 projects, nearly 80 different projects this year alone in trail building and maintenance, habitat, fire and flood restoration, invasive weed removal and urban gardening, and community science projects. And that one I'll elaborate on a little bit more. We get out in various spaces and with various methods do data collection for our partners to inform decision making. And we do single day projects. Typically, a lot of them are 8 hours, but some are 6, some are 4. That looks a little bit different. So those are the morning and evening projects. And we do a lot of overnight weekend projects and multi-day projects where we offer camping, we offer food, and we're dispersed to many different parts of the state. And I'll just quickly say that that last point, the overnight projects, last year as the pandemic took off, we didn't implement those. This year, we're looking to bring those back. So it may still continue to look different, but those of you who have been on them before can expect to see overnight projects back again next year. And there's a lot of awesome benefits to volunteering with VOC, not just the sense of accomplishment and getting outdoors, fresh air and exercise, but you learn a lot, you meet a lot of like-minded people. I'd say you get to care for your favorite places. I think even more important than that, you get to go to a lot of places you might not have ever had any reason to go to and learn how awesome they are. And again, just like free meals and campsites on overnight projects, and just a really great experience. And to quote a very long-serving VOC volunteer, you give one day for VOC and you can hike anywhere guilt-free in Colorado. So just bear that in mind. And now I'm going to throw it over to and beer. Yeah, we have free beer. Thank you, Jim. Yep. I'll throw it over to my colleague, Kate, who's going to take us a little bit more into what's going on specifically with the ongoing pandemic and how we're managing that.
Okay, here I am. Sorry about that. Had to get some host privileges. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. My name is Kate Barrett, and I'm one of the project managers here at VOC. And all that means is that you'll likely see me out on a project in the field. I get lucky and get to come out and work with you all. So first, I'm just real quick, I think this is probably a little bit on everybody's mind. Right now, there's a little thing called the coronavirus that's floating around. So I'm just going to real quick address a little bit of what we're doing. I won't cover it all, but all you need to know is that safety is our #1 priority on all of our projects. And we've done quite a lot to make sure that protocols are in place. And if you volunteered before, if you volunteered with us last season, then you got all of this information. We tell you about the 3 W's. You got to wear your mask. You got to watch your distance. You got to wash your hands as much as you can. We have all kinds of increased sanitation protocols. If you come out with us, you'll have to answer a real quick health questionnaire on site, just to make sure that everybody's feeling good when they show up. And we're limiting group sizes still. It's looking like that will probably go through the remainder of this coming season into the fall. Everything is subject to change. So we'll continue to adapt and keep our finger on the pulse and try to keep you all informed if you decide to come out with us. Like I said, we'll keep you safe out there. So on to the next one. So I'm also going to talk real quick here about our project structure, just sort of what projects look like. I won't spend a ton of time on this because then we have other people who are going to expound on these positions. But basically what it looks like is that for most any typical VOC project, there are really only 2 paid positions there. One is going to be our land manager, or our project partner, a staff member from any partnering organization that we're working with. And then the other staff member is going to be the VOC project manager, somebody like me, or you'll hear from a few others tonight. And then other than that, everyone on site there is a volunteer. If you've never come out on a project before, we recommend that you just sign up, come on out, see how it works, see how it feels. If you have been out before and you're here to learn a little bit more about leadership, thanks for showing up. That's all of these sort of middle tier boxes. Yeah, so we've got TAs and crew leader managers, which are a little those people have been around for a number of years. So actually what we're going to talk about tonight the most is our crew chef, our tool manager and crew leader positions. And those are sort of our entry level leadership positions that we have a ton of need for, really. And they really make our projects work. I mean, we could not do it. Obviously, VOC is a volunteer driven organization. You guys are what makes the world go round. So I'm going to pass it off to one of our main volunteers, big time volunteers, Paige Prusner, and she's going to talk a little bit about being a crew leader. So wherever she is.
I got you, Kate. Hi, everyone. I am Paige Prusner, and I volunteered. I've been volunteering in some aspect with VOC for, I think, 8 years now. And I think this is my 3rd year as a crew leader. So I've done enough projects to tell you what it's like. In my humble opinion, being a crew leader is one of the best positions you can be in. You get to teach all the volunteers about the technical aspects of the trail, the safety of the tools. Sometimes you even get to tell them a little bit about the area that you're working in and how that's going to impact the users, the locals who hike on these trails. And so you really get to directly interface with the volunteers a lot, which is my favorite thing, and really teach them what VOC is all about. So VOC relies on crew leaders a lot for that sort of direct interface. And we also get to spend a lot of time making sure that the volunteers have fun. I don't want to make it sound like we just get to stand up and talk the whole time. A lot of times the crew leaders take it upon themselves at the end of the day to start some fun games, or sing songs around the campfire, health and weather permitting for those sorts of activities. The time commitment is relatively low for crew leaders. You get pulled into a pre-project meeting, which is typically online like this. And that's really useful because they'll give you the lay of the land, what kind of work you'll be doing. And then you sort of huddle up the morning of your project, and you interface with people like the crew leader manager, if there is one, the technical advisor, who's kind of responsible for laying out the trail and kind of assigning what work needs to be done in that way. And sometimes even people like Kate, you kind of all meet up that morning. And then you get a group of 10 people that you get to kind of help work through your section and create this team mentality. So it's a lot of fun. And also the training investment is relatively low too. I think it takes about a weekend, and there's a mix of online and in-person training. And it's really open to almost anyone. I think we recommend going on 1 or 2 projects to kind of get your feet wet, especially with the kind of 5-step trail building that we practice and preach. But it's a really great way to take your investment in VOC from just a volunteer, which, don't get me wrong, is great, and I did it for a long time, and really take responsibility for the trail and how things are executed. So I've had a lot of fun being a crew leader for the past 3 years, and I'll stick around at the end for any questions.
Thanks, Paige. I'm gonna jump in real quick and just say, if Paige is a great example of one of the best kind of volunteers. I called her up at like the absolute last minute to ask if she would do that for you all, and she said yes. So I just wanted to throw that in. And then real quick on the training, I did want to point out as well that this is the only training that we have that, and there's a one for sure date that we have there. And those of you that respond to the survey that will be coming out and tell us you're interested in crew leading, you'll get a lot more detail. But there's a training scheduled. There's more. It's kind of, we didn't want to throw out a whole lot of information at you, but we will get you that more detail about where you can go train and what to expect with training. The key point here I want to make, though, is that in addition to the dates on May 8th and 9th, there is a cost associated with the base cost of this training is $100. It's the only one that has a cost associated, but a couple of opportunities. If you have done 3 or more projects since 2019, or by attending this session and registering by the February 10th, we will give a discount to $65 on that training. And then we also have a training scholarship that will be released shortly. This our Steve Austin training scholarship that's by application. And essentially, if you're interested, you can apply for that, and the fees will be waived for crew leader training. And then the last step as part of training is that we have you mentor under a certified crew leader until it's just kind of a simple 10-point 10-point certification process that just makes sure you checked off the boxes that you know this on a project, and that helps you kind of get a little more comfort underneath you before we toss you into just being a crew leader on your own, and 2, helps us understand kind of where you're at and make sure that you're good to go. And most people get that done in 1 or 2 projects.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly. I'm a Senior Projects and Operations Manager at VOC. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the crew chef position. I also have Gail here and Rose here, who are longtime crew chefs. So if they have anything to add, please do. So as Dan mentioned earlier, one of the things that sets VOC apart is that we are able to offer our volunteers food as a big show of appreciation. So like Paige said, with crew leaders work is a lot of on project work, mostly on the project. So the crew chefs, there's a lot of planning and lead-in work, and then the work on the project. So crew chefs are responsible for planning meals and preparing food for volunteers. So that's menu planning, and then shopping for food, putting together all the supplies out at our operations center, where we house all of our kitchen equipment, stoves, pots, pans, all of that, getting that all ready to go to be packed up for the project. And then on the project, prepping and cooking food, serving food, which keeps volunteers very happy. So the time commitment for this is quite a bit more than a crew leader, with all the preparing and planning and shopping ahead of the project, and then all the time on the project preparing meals. And then let's see here, getting started. So each spring we put on a crew chef webinar. This year it will be on the evening of March 24th. And that just kind of goes through what a crew chef does. It kind of goes through the full process. In years past, we kind of follow that up with a training at our operations center, so you can kind of see the equipment that we're working with. But with COVID, it's going to be a bit more on the job training. So if you are interested in being a crew chef, one, we would say go on a project. And this year we're only offering food on overnights. So mentoring on under a crew chef, mentoring on one of those projects, so you can just kind of see the full process. Doing a few of those to get comfortable, and then it kind of up to you if you want to strike out on your own from there. So Gail or Rose, I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, I'm good.
Great. I will also talk a little bit about tool managers, and I have a couple tool managers here, Renee and Jim, if they have anything to add. We'll also have a Q&A at the end if they have anything they want to add there. So tool managers, like crew chefs and crew leaders, these are the three most crucial positions, leader positions that we have on each project. So tool managers are responsible for getting tools from our operations center in Lakewood out to a project, and that includes tools for the project and all of the kitchen equipment for crew chefs. So this position also requires a bit more planning and lead time ahead of the project, and then also being present on the project. So loading and unloading tools at our operations center in Lakewood, picking up the rental truck. You can see that picture in the bottom left there. That's generally the kind of vehicle we're working with, especially when we have big 50, 75 person projects. All that space is actually necessary. So then on the project, tool managers are responsible for making sure volunteers have the right tools on the trail. So we equip all of our crew leaders with radios, and they can let tool managers know if they need an extra of something, or if something broke, or if they need something additional to make sure they've got everything there. The commitment on this one, like I said, there's a little bit more planning with getting tools loaded before the project, being on the project, and then the unloading on the back end. As far as getting started, we've realized that the best way to learn to be a tool manager is just to be on a project and kind of go through the whole thing. So it's mostly on the job training for this one. And we do a motor vehicle check before adding you to our insurance. So clean driving record is necessary. And then feeling comfortable driving those big vehicles, especially some of the projects we go on, there's narrow, gravelly, windy roads. So they are a bit tricky, so just knowing if you're comfortable with those or not.
All right, well, hey everyone, to introduce myself, I am Beth Ray. I'm the Weld County Volunteer and Partnership Coordinator. So if you make your way out to a project in Weld, and I hope you do, you'll likely see me out there. So all right, this slide is about a final few project support roles that you can consider. If you are interested in either that crew chef position or the tool manager position, but maybe just not quite ready to take the plunge, there are a few assisting and helper roles that you can consider. And this is a great way to get your feet wet, learn the ropes. Both positions, you'd be working directly with another crew chef or tool manager, either assisting them at the camp kitchen, helping load or unload tools in Lakewood or on the project. And like I said, just really gaining that experience. Both of these positions, the crew chef and the tool manager, really benefit from having a couple pairs of hands. So it's really great when you have a helper or assistant, because they are certainly positions where many hands make light work. Both of them say, they're a little bit more flexible in terms of the time commitment, because they can be just a little bit lighter than the full-blown position while you're gaining that experience. The final project support role that we wanted to touch on tonight is that of a project photographer. In this position, you would work with our senior marketing and communications manager, Kelly, and she would kind of help you determine which project you were interested in or which projects which you're interested in, when would be a good time to get out there, kind of what to look for, if anything specific. Yeah, and then after the project, you just work to get her at least 20 photos that could be used for VOC purposes. This one does require you have your own camera. And again, this one's pretty flexible in terms of the time commitment, because you wouldn't necessarily need to be out at the entire project. We don't need you to always document orientation. Maybe we want you to capture more of the bulk of the work in the morning. So it certainly could be a few hours of the day. And again, you would work with Kelly to kind of determine what time would be best to get out to do that. Next slide. So, all right, this slide, we just really want to reiterate that however you want to choose to participate, we're excited to get you out there and hope you come and get involved with us. If you're here tonight and you've never been on a VOC project, we do recommend just come, check it out, see how we operate and gain some experience. But that said, if you're super gung-ho and just raring to become a leader and want to jump right in, maybe have experience with other groups or feeling comfortable, we can certainly work with that too, and would love to get you started.
Great. So I'm just gonna give you guys a little sneak peek of what we're looking at this year as far as projects. So like Dan said, in a normal year we have about 60 projects. We are just really gonna go for it this year and do 76. So 44 of those will be trail projects and 32 ecosystem stewardship projects. So that's more of those fire, flood restoration, wildlife habitat, invasive removal type projects. And just to get you guys excited about some of those, we'll have a native planting at Tamarack State Wildlife Area the first weekend of April. And that is up in the northeast corner of Colorado. We'll be doing a riparian restoration at the Shambhala Mountain Center in Red Feather Lakes. That is a planting project that will help restore the area after the Cameron Peak fire ripped through there. We're going to be doing a handicap structures improvement at Kent Breeze State Wildlife Area in Parshall in the beginning of May. Beth will be running a beaver habitat restoration at Signature Bluffs Natural Area up in Greeley, to be another planting. We'll have a week-long crosscut project in the Wyoming Ridge Wilderness down in the San Luis Valley. So a nice, that'll be like a Monday through Friday, whole week-long getaway. And then we'll have a trail construction project out in Leadville at the end of June, among many others.
Awesome. Okay, well, thanks to everybody who had a little hand in the presentation there. So just really quick to reiterate next steps. So first and foremost, like Beth said, if you're new to VOC, we certainly don't discourage you from jumping straight into a leadership or project team role if that's really what you want to do. But we do recommend that you just come out as a normal volunteer first and get that experience before you take on any training. And so April, May, and June projects are going to open for registration on March 1st. And again, I'll let people know, some of you may have experienced this last year with the smaller group sizes. The projects can fill up a lot quicker and the wait lists start getting a lot longer as a result. So if you find yourself waitlisted over and over and over again on projects that you want to sign up for, please don't hesitate to reach out to Kendall at VOC, myself, anyone really at VOC. If we can't help you, we can direct you to the right person. And if you keep finding yourself on the wait list, we'll try to help you figure out where you can go and get on a project. Just reach out to us. After this session, we'll be sending out an interest survey to everyone that registered to attend the session, and that will. Looks like Kendall just put it in the chat, but expect to see that in email as well. I believe that's correct, but go ahead and pull it out of the chat too. But if you fill out that survey, we're asking you to tell us if you are interested in taking on one of these roles that we've discussed here tonight. Which one is it? And that way we can follow up with you with, discount information, should it be crew leader training, and also a little bit more of the detail that we didn't get into here tonight on how what crew leader training is going to look like and what the opportunities will be. But also, it just helps us give you the right follow-up and make sure you know where you need to go and where you need to be if you want do that. And then finally, yeah, we'll want to register for the appropriate training if you're interested in that volunteer leadership role, or for the tool manager interest, sign up for a project, and you probably want to give Kelly Klaus a heads up that you want to sign up as an assistant tool manager to start that on the job training is kind of the way to register for tool manager training. So with that, we'll have a Q&A session, and we've got plenty of time. So, we can take at least 15 minutes to answer questions. I would ask that everybody go ahead and put your questions in the chat so that we don't have a free-for-all in people trying to get in on video, and I'll get the chat open and we'll just answer questions as they come. Or did we do a good enough job? So far, no questions. All right. Going once.
We got a question from Justin
Okay.
to start.
Oh, good. I'm not seeing them. So Kendall, maybe
Okay,
you want to
yeah.
read them out? Okay, go
No
ahead.
problem. Question from Justin. It says, is it possible to get a copy of the presentation afterwards? Yes, we will send out the recorded version of this along with that survey after. Maybe expect that sometime tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it from the cloud this evening. Then we've got another question. Ooh, they're coming in rapid fire now. From Jim. Says, Dan, this isn't a question. Okay. Not a question, but wanted to say thank you for attending.
Screwing with us? Come on, Jim. Come on. Come on, Jim. This is a serious event. I don't know if that's that, Jim. I'm just guessing. Maybe I'm giving him a hard time. I don't know.
Well, Jim just wants to say thanks everyone for attending. It's a great turnout, and it really is for it being virtual. We've had quite a few people turn out, so I'll just say thank you along with Jim. Another one from Sandy. Just asking if you're new to VOC and not comfortable yet as a leader, do you still want us to fill out the survey or just sign up in March? It's entirely up to you. If you just want to volunteer, you don't have to fill out the survey. It still kind of gives us a good way of knowing what you might be interested in the future. It's not at all like saying that you will become a leader. It just lets us know that you're interested in it. There's no obligation along with that. And then another one from Susie says, for week-long projects, can you work a day or two, or do you have to commit to the full week?
I can answer that. Yeah, we seek a full week commitment on those. The reason they're week-long is because we're packing in some distance, setting up camp and working in a remote location for some given amount of time, in this case, 5 days. So that's the whole kind of reason we have to spread it out over 5 days. And so one, it's just really tough to get somebody in and out of there if they're coming in individually and making sure that they're safe and all that. And two, those are really hard spots. Those are tougher spots to fill in projects. There are fewer people that can commit to those because it does take more gear, more physical exertion. And so we're going to hold spots for the folks that can commit to the entire duration.
Okay, we've got one from Eric. It says, you mentioned a scholarship for the training. Any additional details to share there, or is that info on the website?
Kelly Flowers, would you mind popping in and letting folks know where they can find it and when it'll be posted?
Sure can. Yes, we are actually going to be posting more information about that this upcoming Monday, February 1st. It's called the Steve Austin Training Scholarship. At the top of our website, in the header, there's a button that says training. So come Monday, once you click on that, you should be able to find more information about that. Applications will be open through the end of March. And it's really a very simple application process. I think it's only about 3 to 5 questions. And then by the end of March, Dan will have reviewed those and we'll get back to people. But essentially, if you're selected, you receive $160 to use towards training through our OSI program, and I believe it's valid for about 2 years from the date that you receive it. So you definitely don't have to take all your training this year. You can kind of space it out depending on your schedule.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that to Kelly's point of the more than you need for just one training involved in that. The idea is we do a lot of different training. We've slowed down a little bit with the pandemic, especially around our various technical skills, because it requires less than 6 foot physical distance. That said, there's plenty of other stuff going on this year, plus much more going on in future years. Once we hopefully come out from underneath the pandemic a bit. And there's just a whole world of outdoor stewardship that you can engage in and explore, both as a volunteer and as a trained leader.
All right, we've got two pretty similar ones from Eric and Lori. It says, what kind of needs do you see for 2021 as far as leadership skills and resources, and what role is needed most by VOC?
Good question. I think Kelly Klaus wants to answer that one. I'm just teasing. So first and foremost, if you haven't trained in any role ever before, the three that we presented today are far and away our most significantly needed roles. You know, we need one crew leader for every, ideally 8 to 10, sometimes every 6 volunteers. Not as much, since we're not doing full rollout of food on all of our projects, but for many projects we are doing food. But in a given season, it's rare that a project comes that doesn't need a crew chef. Same thing for a project that with tool managers. And those last two, we've got a lot of really great dedicated volunteers that are doing them, but a lot of those volunteers are taking on quite a bit of work, and so we can always add to those ranks to help spread that workload around. So the three that we've discussed are always going to be a high need for VOC. Skills wise, you know, there's some things that you learn through training that are always going to be a need. The trail basics, advancing in trail skills to do more technically proficient stuff. We're continuing to grow our saw programs, and we're going to be offering both crosscut and chainsaw training this year. If that's something people want to get interested in, that's a growth area for the organization. And so is ecological restoration. And I did see that Becky, thanks for being here tonight, Becky. Nice to see that you're on, asked about fire restoration. I don't know. We're kind of assessing our options and opportunities. I don't know if fire restoration training will be on offer this year, though it likely will be in future years, but we're also going to be doing a more general ecological restoration training that will have some relative skills in April as well, that will go out to those of you interested in crew leadership. We'll get some information on that, but those of you who are also current volunteer leaders with VOC and want to learn a little bit more about that training, it's going to be in Greeley in mid-April. You know, please reach out to me and I can tell you more about it.
All right, we just got one from Justin. It says, how many people will be on a given day / overnight event this year with the COVID reductions?
I can take that one. Currently, we're not planning any projects bigger than 25. And that is just based off of the kind of the designation we were given from Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. So until the counties are working and move up into, I think, the blue level, we won't be able to increase those sizes. So no way of knowing when that may happen. So we're just planning for a season of small projects for now. And if we can increase towards the tail end, we certainly will.
We're getting some more rolling in. Hold on. All right, I'll start with the one that we can all see. Is May 8th and 9th leadership training the only one, or will there be others this year?
It's likely there will be. The issue right now, though, is that we're concurrently doing a planning and assessment project for the Outdoor Stewardship Institute training program. And just there's another part of the mission of that program that the training is meant to serve any group in Colorado that wants or needs the training, not just for VOC needs. And so there's a balance that has to be given between what we're doing for VOC and what we're doing for other groups. And at this point, we're just having to hold a little bit of space in our calendar to make sure we don't overload it. And then once the results of this project come in, we don't have any room to then respond to it with the trainings that we are going to be utilizing to respond to it. So that being said, the May 8th and 9th weekend is the main one that's on the Front Range this year. And that's typically what we try to push people that want to be VOC crew leaders into. I anticipate sometime June, July, we typically add another one. And then again, those of you that receive the further details on crew leadership training, there's going to be some additional ways you can get involved. It's just, it's a little bit, I hesitate to say complicated. There's definitely more to it than what we feel is useful to try to present at this meeting, but you'll be getting that information via email. And then if at the end of the day, man, none of this works for me, just give me a call and we'll talk about it. we can try to figure something out.
All right, I've got a question on when trip signups are going to start this year. I'm just going to go ahead and answer this one. We are hoping to have some projects posted on our website by late February, and then those projects will be open to the public starting on March 1st. And if you are a VOC member, so if you've donated $40 or more to us in the last year, you get priority access for signing up for those. So you'll be able to sign up about a week before those open to the general public.
And I'll actually tack onto that real quick to mention that the first round of projects, or April, May, and June projects, will open on March 1st. But we do stagger registration throughout the season for our later projects in the year, just to make sure everybody has a chance to sign up. And you don't sign up, 6 months in advance and forget that you signed up for it. So March 1st, that first batch will open, and then June 1st, we'll have July and August projects open. And then on August 1st, September and October projects will open. But as Kendall said, in February, all of the projects will be posted. So you'll be able to see the full schedule. And then on March 1st, be able to sign up for those first 3 months of projects.
And to Sarah's follow-up question, yes, you can become a member still to get that priority access. We are keeping that open, we think, until about February 19th. So if you haven't donated yet and you want to get that early sign up, you have until February 19th, and then we're going to shut it down and open it up for early registration. Another question asking about any more info on the Shambhala, I'm sorry. The one in Red Feather Lakes.
I saw that's from Mick. Mick, you need to just come to team night, bud. Unless Kelly, you want to talk about that one a little bit more. Go ahead.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Yeah. So they had quite a few projects up there, but with the fire, they decided to focus on the planting. So I haven't been up there, but we'll be out there planting along the river corridor there, and it might also involve some in corridor erosion structures as well. Yeah, we'll have those details hashed out certainly by team night.
Anything else? Any other questions coming in, Kendall?
Eric asked if there's any other local groups similar to VOC in the Colorado area. He's new to Colorado and is just looking for some recommendations.
Oh man, where to start? Where to begin? Eric, depends on where you live. VOC is statewide, and we certainly do something in almost all, if not all, pockets of the state in a given year. That being said, if you're on the Front Range, certainly Wildlands Restoration Volunteers comes to mind as a big one. There's a lot of activity in northern Colorado and Larimer County as well. A lot of activity in Colorado Springs, a lot of different groups in that area. Man, we could sit here all night. I'll tell you what, I'm at dan@voc.org, and if you'd like to reach out to me and chat about it a little bit more, go for it. Yeah, some folks are, anyone else? I saw Rose dropped in a couple of groups of CATS, Colorado Addicted Trail Builder Society, both in Colorado Springs and Fort Collins is another good one. Colorado 14ers Initiative, yep. So feel free to keep pumping them into the chat, but please reach out, and if you're looking for something specifically local to where you are located, I'd be happy to make some recommendations if you shoot me an email. Thank you, Rose. Yes, I think too, VOC is the best also. Yep.
All right, we got a question about any tool maintenance or cleanings coming up.
Yes, the answer is yes. We're still hashing out those details since we weren't able to do our big annual Oktoberfest cleanup in October because of COVID. But yes, there will be more information coming soon, Becky.
Have any more questions, Kendall?
That looks like pretty much all, unless anyone has any last minute burning questions.
All right, I'm gonna say we might call it there, but please, don't hesitate to reach out to anyone on staff with any questions that may come up between now and whenever you get out there with us. So thanks again, everyone, for being here tonight, and looking forward to hopefully hearing from you and seeing you out there this year.